Well, with no testimony today, the Simpson jury gets a day off. Recently, I spoke to a member of the original 12, Tracy Hampton, who was dismissed from this panel back on May 1st. And in a recent and a rare one-on-one interview, she talks about the rigors of sequestration, why she was dismissed from the Simpson panel, and what led up to that well-publicized jury revolt. The former Simpson juror had never been incarcerated, but after being sequestered for 4 months performing civic duty on the so-called trial of the century, Tracy Hampton says she knows what it must be like to do hard time.
My experience was like being in prison. We were monitored daily, on a daily basis. Everything we did was as a group together, and we were limited to some of the things that we were able to do. From day one, I was very serious about being a juror on this case. Other people I noticed on the jury, it was a big party for them. There was no one there that I can say that I just couldn't stand, but their behavior, I didn't like. I'll say some of the behavior of some of the jurors I didn't like.
But what bothered Hampton most was what she described as a routine violation of her privacy.
Our rooms would be searched on a daily basis. That was something negative that I got out of it.
What do you mean your rooms were searched?
They were searched.
By who?
By the deputies that were in charge of us.
Any idea what they were looking for?
I have no idea.
And just to make sure she wasn't imagining things, Hampton says she set a trap.
Oh, I had some things that letters that I had been writing to friends, and I had them in a certain place, and they were shuffled when I got back. So I knew that someone had went through my things.
Finally, after feeling too much tension, Hampton went to talk to Judge Lancito.
What did he say to you?
First of all, he asked me if I wanted all of the deputies released, and I said no. And then he said, how about there's the 3 that had given you the most problems? And I said yes. And then when they were released, the other jurors didn't like it, and they were very upset with me.
And how were you made aware of it?
At the hotel, there were a group of jurors that were together, and I knew they were planning something, and they didn't include me. And the next morning, I got in line, and everyone had on black except for me, and I think there were maybe 2 or 3 other jurors that didn't have on black either.
This came to be known as the jury revolt.
They just totally brushed me off. They didn't speak to me. They really didn't appreciate me talking to Judge Ito about that and getting the deputies released.
So what happened after that? It was shortly after that where you went into Judge Ito and said, hey, what?
I went in there and I said I want out now, and I think the judge and the attorneys, they saw how stressed out I was and how depressed that I was, and they said, we'll release her.
And then you came home, huh? You had quite a welcoming party outside the house here.
I'm fine now that I'm home.
I was very surprised, and I remember the judge telling me there might be a couple of cameras in your front yard when you get home.
The cameras were there again the next day when Hampton was rushed to the hospital. She says she was diagnosed with a condition of acute stress, with symptoms of depression, weight loss, and insomnia. Hampton denies the reports of attempted suicide.
It didn't happen.
No chewing on the light bulb?
No, that didn't happen.
Didn't chew on your arm, make it bleed?
No, I didn't.
Removed from the Simpson jury now for more than 3 months, Hampton offered thoughts on some of her fellow jurors.
Who would you like to start with?
Jeanette Harris.
We really didn't communicate until 2 weeks before she was released from the jury.
Why not?
Maybe it was the age difference. Maybe that was the reason.
What was Tracy Kennedy like?
Very nice. Our rooms were right next to each other at the beginning of the trial.
On report, she was involved in romance with Michael Knox?
No, that didn't happen.
Nothing.
No, nothing like that. Michael and I were, we were friends.
2 months from now, if you receive a summons in the mail to serve on a case at LA County Courthouse, what are you going to do with that summons?
You know, I really don't want to I've already had my experience as a juror, and I don't want to do it ever. I really prefer not to do it ever again.
Hampton plans to write a book and says she has no opinion yet regarding Simpson's innocence or guilt. And Hampton says she believes that a verdict will be reached in the Simpson trial. She says the 12 people who comprise the Simpson jury are 12 people who can all agree on the same thing. And Jim, that's a far cry from what the experts and the legal analysts are saying.
It sure